Yeah, we're starting next Monday.
Well,
I mean, you're starting this Monday.
I'm
Well, okay.
What are you gonna work out today?
I think squats. It's been a couple weeks since I've done those.
Squats.
Although it's gonna ruin jujitsu for the rest of the week.
It was back.
Squats are in every phase.
It was back and biceps this morning, and I'm gonna be doing Stairmaster after this for a little bit. Cause I ate a lot Mother's Day.
Alright, we'll just get started. We got some fun time. Alright.
Did we have an extra chair for Joseph when he gets here?
Stephanie has a client.
Oh, okay.
Alright. So, first off, I would just say I want to know how comfortable does everyone feel with programming overall for strength and conditioning?
Great.
No, you agree.
Great.
What does that mean?
What do you mean? What does that mean?
What do you mean?
Well, I don't have any. I don't have a lot of.
For strength training?
Yes.
Yeah, I feel I have a really good understanding of how to write out a program for clients.
Okay. Do you understand all the principles behind it?
Not all of them, but a lot of them, yes.
Okay, cool. Because that's I'm not saying just writing a program, but like the kind of decompartmentalizing, kind of deconstructing programs and knowing why. That's more of what I'm asking.
Okay. I have a pretty good understanding, but I'm not like excellent on it.
Okay. What about you guys? How do you feel about program design?
Like what?
Just in general, like in terms of knowledge on, the principles behind program design, why you would do things, and what are the reasons why, you would pick certain things, or.
I mean, I think it's very, very important to.
How do you feel about your own ability?
I think I know. So for strength training, I have now. I think for the most part, just because like I personally do that so much. It kind of depends on like, especially if the client has certain ailments. Then it's like I'll do a lot of research, but like researching and Googling shit will only take you so far. It's a lot of real experience and like working with clients that really will help you get better. And I don't have a ton of that. I've had like some clients with minor issues, but nothing major. So
you feel
I'd say
better,
I have rooms to expand for sure.
better on the knowledge side, but you want to improve more on the experiential side.
Exactly. Yeah.
Got it. Cool. How do you feel? Good. Okay. All right. So.
Can I finish it?
He's just getting started.
I'm
I'm just here to learn.
You can't tell what I'm
So yeah, first thing I want to talk about and just kind of bring up is specificity. So who knows what specificity means?
When you tailor a program around a specific sport movement, things like that, or a specific area.
Yeah. So does anyone want to give an example of that? What that might look like?
Specificity would be like more like sports related. So like for like football player versus someone who's doing like general prepared fitness, like GBP, getting first into it, stuff like that.
Like give me an example of how that would show up in a program.
So, maybe someone who's just getting into working out and wanting to learn basic movements would be doing more like either body weight or like goblet squats or a lot of slow movement, tempo, hypertrophy, whereas someone that's training for like an explosive sport, like being a receiver for football, would be doing more like speed, agility, explosive movements, heavy squats or like jump squats, stuff like that.
Okay. So let's just say the sport is, let's just say it's shot put. What would be like the most specific exercise you could do for
what's.
You could do a band exercise that's like this.
Yeah, and I mean, technically, you could actually throw a shot put. Like,
Thank
like,
you.
Right?
that
Well, you can do
because it's still training, right? Now, if it were like, I mean, I guess technically you make that argument for anything, but some things are more skill related and almost zero training stimulus, right? Like if you're swinging a golf club, right? Arguably you could say it's training, but it's mostly skill learning versus actual stimulus to get you stronger or faster.
stimulus versus like movement patterns and stuff like that.
Yeah, and so every different sport or every different, you know, activity is going to have a different type of specificity. So if like you want to be a long distance runner, right, you're not going to do the same things to get good at that you would if you were a sprinter versus a baseball player, things like that. So sort of some of the different things to think about is different movement patterns, right? What movement patterns are we doing in these sports and these different activities? Different energy systems, right? So like, let's just say long distance versus short distance runners, going to be very different energy systems, you know, different types of muscles that are going to be activated when they're doing those sports. So the training would be very different. And also muscle groups, right? What muscle groups are being utilized for those specific activities. Okay.
Sorry, Bill.
Good.
What's up, fellas?
What's up?
All right, so let's just talk about overload. Does anyone know what overload means?
It's like a type of progression, right? Like increasing weights, increasing intensity.
And I'll tell you what it says here. It says overload principle is a fundamental concept in strength and conditioning program design. Emphasizes the need for progressive increase in the demands placed on an athlete's body to stimulate continuous improvements in their physical capabilities. By gradually exposing the body to greater loads, volumes, intensities, the principle aims to elicit adaptations that enhance strength, endurance, and overall performance. Okay, so it's not just adding more weight, right? There's lots of different ways that you can apply that principle. And there's also lots of different ways that you can progress when it comes to overload, right? So there's gradual overload, systematic progression, individual, actually, I don't know, that's not right. And then of course, the variations in different training variables. So can anyone come up with some different types of variables for how you would create progressive overload?
Volume, time between rests, the intensity of the exercise,
So like speed or
like speed, yeah. Like what you're doing, like a pause rep versus like speed bench press.
Negatives.
Mhm.
You could also, sorry, go ahead.
I was just pointing at Joseph.
Would overload also be like I think that's pyramid. But would it be like where you have like you start off heavy and you break it down to light?
That would be a drop set.
Drop set up. Okay.
Yeah,
It's a form in a way.
technically, yes. Not necessarily just going from one to the other, that doesn't necessarily mean you're overloading, but if you were adding essentially volume, you're
Like
adding
reps.
more reps to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even though you're going lighter, it's still more workload.
Okay.
For example, I go for like on back day, I have my heavy, so I go the heaviest I can for 6, and then the next weight down to 8, and then 10 the next weight, and that's a progressive overload.
Okay, that makes sense.
My client's here and she can't come in.
Oh. Does she
She's
have
on your phone, she needs a great link.
If you could just either have her text me or if you could text me.
No problem.
So, but when you're doing that, right, you want to think about what are we overloading, right? Because yes, you can always say that's harder, therefore I'm overloading. Yes, but then you're not going to understand it. So it's important to actually understand what are we changing,
Okay.
right? So if it's, you know, let's say if you're doing a drop set, right? You're not overloading the weight. And are you overloading on the reps? Probably. And on the sets, probably not, right? So it's like, that's just volume and repetitions, right? You're doing more repetitions if you went from not doing drop sets to doing drop sets. But if you went from doing drop sets last week and doing them this week, well, if the reps and the sets and the weights stayed the same, you didn't do any overload.
Nothing changed.
This
You see what I'm saying?
Now it's just
Yeah.
part of the program.
Now it's just the same thing, right? So that's where you want to understand, okay, what did we change?
Okay, so it's increasing.
Something has to be increased.
Okay.
But let's just say if you took 1 second to finish your rep, right? And then the next time you took 3 seconds, that's an overload,
Okay.
right? That's progressive overload.
And there's like another form too where I think a lot of power lifters. There's a I can't remember her name, but there is a woman who trains her bench press. She's a power lifter, and she trains her bench press by holding a weight that she can't actually bench, and then going down to the weight. Like she unracks it, holds it there, and that's training the muscles to feel like she's preparing herself, and then she drops it and overloads on the weight that she can do.
She stimulates the CNS. It's the static hold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Static holds are very common in powerlifting. Some sports do it too. It's not for the muscles necessarily though. It's for your central nervous system.
Right, because you're like shocking it. It's like, oh my god, I'm holding this weight. So you're like tricking your body almost, because then you're getting used to at least holding that weight there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Central nervous system.
it's also you wouldn't want to do too much. Like you want to do that. That's why it's overload, right? Because you're not trying to go from 50% to, or like let's say you did 200 pounds, right? And that's your max. You wouldn't do 400 pounds.
Right,
You would do like 250, 230.
right, 225 maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, you wouldn't do that all the time. That takes it out of your CNS. I did that for squat, and that was rough. Just
Yeah.
holding it for like 15, 20 seconds.
And that's why powerlifters do it, but mostly when they're getting close to their competition.
Yeah.
It's not something you would do at the beginning of your training, program. And a lot of these things, keep in mind, are things that you're not necessarily ever going to have a client do.
Yeah.
Just a heads up. This is stuff that understanding it will make you better with clients and doing what you need to do for them, but it's mostly for athletes. And sorry to say, but most personal training clients are not going to be athletes. I've had, I could probably count them on 2 hands over the period of a decade of people that I actually needed, a lot of these things for.
I've had one since I've started training with you in 2020.
Look, that's why I like training athletes for free, and I like coaching people, because I actually get to use a lot of this stuff where I don't get to use it with day-to-day clients. Periodization. There are different types of periodization. Does anyone know any of the different types of periodization strategies?
As far as like macro cycles and
So there's linear, undulating, block periodization. Familiar with what linear periodization is?
I feel like linear would be like sort of a powerlifting block, a 3-month powerlifting block where you would do like a hypertrophy, then strength and a peaking.
So linear, this is linear. Right? So like let's say this is 5 pounds, this is 10 pounds, this is 15 pounds. You know what I'm saying? It's linear, it's a line, right? That's linear periodization, okay?
Undulating is like a wave.
Undulating is like, it's like this. Right? So what you're doing, and you guys may have done this accidentally before, like if you were just super tired from something or whatever, but basically it could be, this week we're gonna do 3 sets of 5, and let's just say we did 3 sets of 5 at 200 pounds, right? And then let's say next week you decided to go, 3 sets of 5 at 180